Chapter 27, Number 5, Carderville School. A cold mist rises from the water as we zip down through a layer of clouds and skim the surface of a mighty tributary. That's the Salamone River, and this is Salamone County, Indiana, but it's not the one we know. Everything has changed somehow. Where the enormous concrete box of a Mitchell's superstore is supposed to sit, we find nothing but virgin, old-growth forest. Instead of an asphalt four-lane highway, there is a rutted dirt track, and that's what they call the big road around these parts. No curbs, no sidewalks, no traffic lights or utility poles. There aren't any trees, and the morning is so still and quiet that you can actually hear birds calling in the trees. We soar wide to the right, then rise gently to follow a narrow footpath branching off this main thoroughfare. The way takes us through a field of tall prairie grasses, dotted with wildflowers, where a one-room schoolhouse awaits at the top of the hill. A spiral of smoke rises from a chimney in the middle of the roof. Red brick, gray slate, and painted white trim lends the already handsome building a stately air. A shiny brass bell in its tower reflects the low sun of this morning in early spring. Inside, lessons are underway. 24 students, mostly farm kids from the looks of it, are arrayed in 4 rows of 6 desks. The schoolmaster, a stern, gangly sort of man in threadbare swallowtail coat and pants 3 inches too short, has written today's date on the blackboard with a stub of chalk, April 14th, 1895, along with a list of spelling words, and whirls around on the heel of his muddy boot just in time to catch Geordie Hannah pulling Betsy Mason's pigtail. "Geordie," Master Eggleston shouts. "Drop that right now and stand up." Yes, sir," his classmates titter. The master closes an eye and points to Geordie, dead on, with his cane. Everyone understands the implied threat. Spell rambunctious. Geordie stares up to the parallel wooden slats of the schoolhouse's ceiling as though they were a lined slate, and the answers are secretly, however improbably, written upon them. R. A. M. There's a low vibration shaking the building. The master glances out the window, but seeing nothing, returns his gaze to the boy. Go on. B. U. N. K. A round of raucous laughter from the class. "Quiet!" shouts Master Eggleston. "Wrong. Turn the kindling." The boy, embarrassed, sidles toward the black stove to feed the fire, when the rumble deepens and there's a tremendous shriek, like the screams of a dozen pigs stuck fast between 2 rails of a pasture fence. Mirandy, a 6th grade girl with thick fingers and ragged hair, falls out of her seat. "Mirandy," shouts the master, "I'll thrash you, so help me." "Master Eggleston, I ain't never heard nothing like that afore." "Back in your chair. It isn't anything to be afraid of." "I 'low us sounds just like that old devil in his den," added bright-eyed Hop Hawkins, the school's only 2nd grader. "Are we going to fret over a loud noise, or are we going to prepare for next week's spelling school? The trustees will be rather disappointed with this bunch if you can't last more than 3 rounds against the township's older folks." Mirandy crawls back onto her desk's bench, and for a moment, everything is quiet but for a hiss and a low rumble. The master calls upon tiny frightened Walt to spell articulate. He does so, but no sooner than the final letter passes the threshold of his lips, there are loud shouts from outside the schoolhouse. Men's coarse voices, several of them. The master leaps to the window, looks left and right, then frowns. "Who's there?" inquires Mirandy. She's trembling now. "No one. There's no one there," says the master. And he's telling the truth. He can't see a soul, though the voices continue, indistinct. One of them guffaws. "Master Eggleston," calls another one of the children. "Quiet. Raise your hand first. Now spell eradication." The master continues to peer through the window, seemingly unaware that the child is too terrified to begin. The whole building is shaking now. The roar grows louder. Shriek! The glass cracks right before the schoolmaster's face, and he falls back. A girl screams. There is a horrible snapping, like the sound of a tree sawn nearly through at its base, finally succumbing to gravity and breaking off, crashing through the dry branches of its neighbors until it meets the earth at last. The school's bell tower falls past a window on the opposite side of the building, with a cloud of dust and bricks trailing. The large brass bell glints once more, for only a brief instant, as the sun catches it mid-flight. Then it's gone, buried under the fallen rubble. Now there's pandemonium inside the schoolhouse. The children are up out of their chairs, staring wildly. "We gots to be a-goin', Master Eggleston. We gots to get outside afore the whole building come down." "Don't you go outside, Edward. You can't. Come up here, everyone." The master has retreated behind his own desk at the front of the room. "All of you, come on up here." The students gather around their teacher, and he instinctively holds out his arms to the quaking mass, shepherding them and offering his protection, even though he doesn't know what could be done in all honesty. For a moment, everything is still. Mirandy is crying. "What's it doing, Master Eggleston? What's out there?" "I don't know, Mirandy. Hush a minute." Another incredible squeal, and then the entire building feels jolted from its foundation. A metal claw, replete with fearsome teeth and bright yellow as the sun, rips straight through the building near the front entrance, carves out a 5-foot gash, and scatters bricks across the floor. The schoolmaster's heart sinks. He knows. If not the why or the how, he certainly understands what this means when he sees the blazing sun shining through the new opening. "It's going to be all right," he tells the panicked students, shouting over the din. The children are screaming, backed up against the chalkboard. There is no door on this side of the building, and even if there was, they couldn't escape. "Stop 'em, Master Eggleston. Make it stop." "You can lick 'em, master." The schoolmaster looks down kindly on the girl that is clinging to his leg and tries to smile. "No, I can't." The claw hammers the building, knocking half of the front wall in and causing a menacing droop in the ceiling. "You can! You can!" "Tilly," says the master. The girl's face is buried in the master's pant leg and she's sobbing. He shakes her. "Tilly," he says again. She looks up. "Spell Empyrean." The clawed monster is moving, crawling toward the long edge of the schoolhouse, and now they can see it. It's awful. All metal and glass, spitting smoke and screaming with hatred. The claw is rising for another strike. "Tilly," the master shouts. "Spell it." Tilly wipes her eyes. Between hiccuping sobs, she begins. "E, M, P." The claw comes crashing through, shattering the wall and completely buckling the ceiling in one corner. There's no way out now. The master can't hear if Tilly has finished spelling her word, but he continues, never taking his eyes off the claw as it withdraws from the wreckage. "Mirandy, spell tranquility." The pot-bellied stove in the center of the room has tipped over, spreading its glowing red embers across the floor. One of them lands on a fallen phonetics primer which catches fire, and soon the dry wood floor is ablaze. "Mirandy." "I can't, master." Mirandy is wailing. "Spell it with me." The master takes Mirandy's hand. T. Another strike and the wall bows dramatically inward. The students and their teacher push back into a corner, struggling to keep away from the hungry jaws and the rapidly spreading conflagration, struggling to live just a few seconds longer. R. Mirandy. Everybody spell with me. A. Say it. A few students call out the letters between cries and gasps for breath. The flames are consuming everything now, and the smoke, unable to escape fast enough, is building up inside the ruined school. Everyone crouches down to reach the last pocket of fresh air. N. Q. They're shouting. Boom. The monster pounds the wall directly behind them. U. There's one final, powerful hit, then the schoolhouse seems to give up and collapse upon itself. Where the building once stood is now a pile of red brick and splintered wood. The bulldozer sputters to a halt as Salamone County's new fire chief looks on, nodding. Standing next to him is a tall man in dress shirt, tie, and hard hat. "Let's get the dumpsters in here," Robert Hackett says into his radio. "Get this stuff picked up, hauled off. Should be out of here by noon. Strong work, people."